Not that long ago, it really felt like Bitcoin was just on a one-way trip to the moon, didn't it? Hitting these incredible, mind-blowing highs. But wow, the picture today could not be more different. After a massive crash, investors everywhere are asking the same question. Is this a giant warning sign to get out now? Or is this the buying opportunity of a lifetime? Let's break it all down. So let's just rewind the clock for a second. Go back to October 2025. The energy in the market was absolutely electric. Bitcoin just skyrocketed to an unbelievable all-time high of over $126,000. It seriously felt like the party was never going to end. But you know how the saying goes, what goes up?
Well, it's gotta come down. And boy, did it come down hard. As I'm talking to you, Bitcoin is hovering right around 64,000 bucks. I mean, that is a staggering drop. It's erased fortunes. So what in the world caused this financial earthquake?
Yeah, this wasn't just some random dip. It was really a perfect storm of global events all hitting at once. And we've kind of narrowed it down to three main culprits behind Bitcoin's big tumble. Okay, culprit number one, a big policy shift over in the US. A new 15% global tariff has really made investors nervous. They've gone into what we call risk-off mode. That means they're selling off their more speculative assets, like crypto, and moving their money into safer things, like gold. Second, the big money is getting skittish. You know those Bitcoin spot ETFs? The ones that really fueled the last big run-up? Well, now money's flowing out of them. The big institutional investors are pulling their cash back, kind of waiting on the sidelines to see how this all shakes out. And number three, all this rising tension around the world is making everybody jittery. When the world feels unstable, the speculators, the folks who provide a lot of the market's momentum, they just head for the exits. And when that happens, there's less money in the market, which leads to these much bigger, much wilder price swings. So with all that going on, what's next? Well, the market has basically turned into this fierce battleground. You've got the bulls on one side, betting on a big recovery, and the bears on the other, thinking the price has a lot further to fall. And this right here shows you exactly where the battle lines have been drawn. For the bulls to take back control, they absolutely need to push the price past that $70,000 resistance level. But if the bears manage to shove it below that $60,000 support line, we could see another pretty painful drop, maybe all the way down to $52,000. So yeah, while the short term looks, let's say, messy, a lot of analysts still believe the long-term picture for Bitcoin is really strong. They're looking at what they call a golden target. They're predicting that if those big investors decide to jump back in, Bitcoin could rally big time, maybe to somewhere between $125,000 and $150,000 by the end of the year. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day price drama, so let's just zoom out for a minute and see what history can tell us about what's happening right now. I mean, just look at this timeline. Big, scary drops like the one we're in right now are really nothing new for Bitcoin. We saw very similar crashes back in 2014, 2018, and again in 2022. A lot of analysts would argue that these corrections, as painful as they are actually a natural and maybe even a necessary part of Bitcoin's four-year cycle. And this quote, I think, really gets to the heart of the whole long-term argument for Bitcoin. The idea is that it's not just a risky bet anymore. It's actually becoming a real alternative to traditional money. And if you look at it from that perspective, then these big price swings are just, well, they're bumps in the road on a long journey that's still pointing up. So this all leads us to the big question for anyone watching this market right now. What does this all mean for you? Is this a time to be fearful, or is this a huge opportunity staring us in the face? As it stands, the market sentiment is officially at extreme fear. But here's the really interesting part. If you look back through history, these moments of extreme fear have often turned out to be the absolute best times to buy for long-term investors. It's that classic saying, right? Be greedy when others are fearful. So what can you actually do with all this information? Well, a lot of analysts suggest a more measured approach. Instead of, throwing a huge lump sum in all at once, you could consider something called a systematic investment plan. It just means investing smaller amounts regularly over time. And of course, everyone should be keeping a very close eye on that critical $60,000 support level. If Bitcoin breaks below that, it could be a sign that there's more trouble on the horizon. And that brings us right back to our big question. After looking at why it crashed, the key price levels to watch, and the historical context, what do you think? Is all this fear in the market a final warning sign? Or is it the golden opportunity that savvy investors are always dreaming about? I guess only time will tell.